Mr. George Evans Marley, are you there and ready to speak?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
We can. Please proceed. Please state your name
Excellent.
and address, please.
Great. Before I start testimony, I need to be able to provide commentary on the systemic racism that I've seen as one of your constituents since we, as a community, have begun to come together to start this conversation. I'd be remiss to start my testimony without mentioning the racist and misogynistic behavior of Councilman John Eglee Ozzie in silencing the Councilwoman of Nerva Fortuna, who once again was doing nothing but the job of her constituents to represent them. And Councilman Eglee Ozzie, you silenced a woman, a person of color in our community, and she deserves an apology. I will pause for that apology before I continue. Hearing no apology, I accept that Councilman Eglee Ozzie does not take any responsibility for his actions. Good evening, and thank you for having me speak before this group of decision makers here in Rhode Island. I'm a Providence resident and an advocate for defunding and dismantling the Providence Police Department and reinvesting in the community organizations working to end homelessness, hunger, healthcare insecurities, and education. I live on the corner of Cranston and Dexter at 330 Cranston Street in Ward 11. It's the same intersection that is notoriously used in the community by police officers to wait and bait residents of our community to pull them over and harass them. Tonight, I will be using the data I've collected over the past week to ensure we remove the police and their funding. Since June 14th, 2020, Sunday evening at 6:15, I started tracking the number of sirens I've heard, both directly next to my house and in the near distance. I've recorded them in 1 to 3 second increments, 3 to 9 second increments, and over 10-second increments, which on average, anywhere between 20 and 30 seconds. If you're coughing, I invite you to mute yourself. In 1 second intervals, there was 10 sirens that were close to the house. There were 3 in the distance. Close by, in 3 to 9 second intervals, there were 19. In the distance, there were 4. In close distance to the house, in proximity, between over 10 seconds, mostly in the duration of 20 to 30 seconds, there were 26 incidents where excessive use of sirens were used at the house, and in distance, 23 uses of excessive sirens. Granted, we are all home right now due to COVID-19, and the constant whines of the sirens eventually drown out, and we missed a few. A-weighted decibels, or dBA, are often used when describing sound level recommendations for healthy listening. OSHA allows 8 hours of exposure to 90 dPA, but only 2 hours of exposure to dPA sound levels that are over 100 dPA. The National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health would recommend limiting the 8-hour exposure to less than 85 dPA. At 100 dPA, they recommend less than 15 minutes per day of exposure. According to a footnote in the 2005 U.S. Interrogation Program Memo, the CIA keeps detention conditions at every one of its detention facilities where detainees are subject to white noise or loud sounds, and they are required to not exceed 79 decibels. During portion of interrogation, the 2005 memo also notes that Occupational Safety Health Administration, OSHA, figures no risk of permanent hearing loss from continuous 24-hour-a-day exposure to noises up to 82 decibels, but they should not exceed 79 decibels. What was interesting in my research to find out was that most emergency vehicles create a 110 to a 100 dPA of sound decibel when turned on. Police sirens are louder than ambulances and fire trucks. because cops' cars usually have their sirens mounted on the low front bumper. We are, as a community, have been put under torture, sound torture, excessive sound torture. This is just another reason why the police and the Providence Police Department are funding and continuing this systemic racism. Our communities are under attack, and it is your responsibility as the committee to decrease the funding, stop allowing our communities to be under attack, and to take responsibility for your actions. Thank you for your time.